A reading from Ecclesiastes, Reflections of a Royal Philosopher. The words of the teacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the teacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What do people gain from all the toil at which they toil under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hurries to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Round and round goes the wind, and on its circuit the wind returns. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To be the place where the streams flow, there they continue to flow. All things are wearisome, more than one can express. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, or the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, "See, this is new"? It has already been in the ages before us. The people of long ago are not remembered, nor will there be any remembrance of people yet to come by those who come after them. I, the teacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. I applied my mind to seek and to search out by wisdom all that is done under heaven. It is an unhappy business that God has given to humans to be busy with. I saw all the deeds there are done under the sun, and see, all is vanity and a chasing after wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be counted. I said to myself, I have acquired great wisdom, surpassing all who were over Jerusalem before me. And my mind has had great experience of wisdom and knowledge. And I applied my mind to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. I perceived that this also is but a chasing after wind. For in much wisdom is much vexation, and those who increase knowledge increase sorrow. God of compassion and mercy, bless my words. Bless our meditations and reflections of heart and mind. Bless our questions. So may we hear your call to us and be willing to strive to answer. Amen. The book of Ecclesiastes has been the inspiration for novels, such as The Bonfire of the Vanities by Tom Wolfe, later turned into a movie, about ambition, racism, social class, politics, and greed in the 1980s in New York. Or The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, about a group of disillusioned expatriates in post-war Europe struggling with love, friendship, and identity. Whereas the books of Proverbs and Psalms portray a more positive view of wisdom, the books of Job and Ecclesiastes take a more pessimistic view. They invite us to consider questions such as, why are we here? And what is the meaning of life? The opening verses of Ecclesiastes proclaim the vanity of life. The word translated as vanity is the Hebrew word haval. There is a story about an Old Testament scholar who began a lecture by reaching into his suit pocket and pulling out a cheap cigar. He lit the cigar and blew a long stream of smoke and then said, "This is what haval is: smoke, vapor, mist, fleeting." The teacher or preacher in Ecclesiastes identifies himself as a son of David and a king of Israel. He concurs with the professor. Life is fleeting like smoke, here one moment and gone the next. During his lifetime, he has tried many different philosophies or lifestyles, hoping that each one he tried would help him to find the meaning of life, but all of them have disappointed. Once thought to be Solomon, who wrote Ecclesiastes in his old age, modern scholarship indicates that the date of writing is much later. The name of the book Ecclesiastes is a transliteration of the Greek word Ecclesiastes, which is a translation of the Hebrew word Kohelet. A transliteration is writing the word using the closest letters of another alphabet. Kohelet, the Hebrew name of the book, is most likely also the name of the author. The word means someone who speaks before an assembly, thus a teacher or a preacher. Having been king, the preacher has been able to do and to see many things because of his privilege. He could do anything that he wanted, yet nothing has turned out to be ultimately meaningful or purposeful. It seems that the best one can do is to engage in life at the present time. It would seem as if the preacher is saying all lifestyles, philosophies, all ideologies, passions, all art and achievement are, when measured against the absolute realities of death, misfortune, time, accident, and fate, vanity, useless, futile. And I think we have all been there, wondering what life is all about when struck with a sudden change of circumstance. But another way of interpreting the words we have heard this morning is to consider the things that we run after, what we desire, what we pursue. What is it that we are hoping for? What are we pursuing? Vanity? That is looking for fame, popularity, wealth, beauty. We know each of those is prescribed by our culture as being worthwhile or desirable. Views on Facebook, likes on Instagram, TikTokers, plastic surgeries even to the point of wanting to be a dog, gambling advertisements on mainstream television, the dream of being discovered and becoming rich and famous lives on. Martin Luther said that whatever we fear, love, and trust the most are our gods. Even things we consider good can prove to be gods if taken to extremes. Work, family, hobbies, achievements can all lead us away from living a balanced, fulfilling life. For surely that is the goal. Not to be obsessed about or controlled by something so that we neglect other aspects of our being. God calls us to a life of fullness and abundance, but it is a life centered on God or in God. It is a life that places God before everything else. Listen to the words of this hymn, "Be Thou My Vision." Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence my light. Be thou my wisdom, and thou my true word, I ever with thee, and thou with me, Lord. Thou may, great Father, thine own may I be, thou in me dwelling, and I one with thee. Riches I heed not, nor vain empty praise, thou my inheritance, now and always. Thou and thou only, first in my heart, High King of heaven, my treasure thou art. High King of heaven, my victory won, may I reach heaven's joys, O bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, O ruler of all. Placing God at the center of our lives means other priorities line up with that relationship to God. Whether we fail or we succeed by the world's standards, we know that God's love for us is constant. In our other relationships, in our times of leisure or work, in our involvement in our church community or in our involvement in the wider community, as citizens of this planet Earth, creatures of God's design, all of these aspects of our lives revolve around the central relationship. What do people gain from all the toil at which they toil under the sun? We know that our material possessions are only of benefit here on earth. We cannot take it with us when we die. Yet our experiences, the lessons we have learned, the knowledge that we have gained, the friendships that we have made, all of these things are ours to keep. The intangibles, things that cannot be measured or even defined, but treasures in our hearts. Life is a cycle, and for a time we are the ones who live on earth. But many came before us, and many will come after us. It is in Ecclesiastes 8 that we have the famous passage, "So I commend enjoyment, for there is nothing better for people under the sun than to eat and drink and enjoy themselves. For this will go with them in their toil through the days of life that God gives them under the sun. Enjoy the life that you have been given, dedicating yourself to God and living with faith in your time and place. This is what we can do."